The story begins with Su Wang, known as a distinguished veteran, walking through the airport and talking about himself. He is a member of the most secret and strongest fighting unit in the country of Z, over the name Snow Wolf Unit. He had to fight against tigers and wolves, and even to break down the walls of M's country. In the squad, he completed missions with a 100% success rate, that's why they gave him the code name Snow Wolf. However, 3 days ago during a mission, he was set up, he was late and failed to rescue the hostages. Now he should have been celebrating with his comrades, not walking through the airport. But he was sure that he would surely find whoever had framed him, and he thought it was better for him to be dead. At that moment, there were calls for help from behind. Some girl was being robbed. When asked to help her, no one responded. Snatching the bag, the robber fled and told Su Wan to stand aside. The other girl asked Su Wan to let her pass and kicked the robber. It was Bai Fei Fei, the CEO of Baisha Corporation. After picking up the bag, he kindly gave it to the victim and asked her to be careful, because men are scoundrels. Sitting in her red sports car, she looked at Su Wan, who did not help in any way and considered him a useless man. He did not understand why she was looking at him so intently. Bai Fei Fei abruptly left. Su Wan thought it was busy and took out her passport. He thought she was a very interesting woman and thought she would be a good fit for him, the strongest soldier in country Z, a snow wolf. Walking down the street, Su Wan thought that he must be close by. Deciding to make sure, he opened the sheet with the address written on it, 108, Nandao Street, room 307, and he found the building he wanted. Further, being in a room with an elderly man who asked Su Wan to take care of his daughter if he didn't return. Looking at the joint photo of Lao Na and his daughter, Su Wan said that his daughter is 4 years younger than him, so in return, she should become his wife. Lao Na was adamantly against it, for his daughter doesn't like him. While near the dying Lao Na, Su Wan asked for answers as to who had done this to him. But the latter in turn asked him to promise him that Su Wan would take care of Yen Pan. As he approached the building, he heard what was being said about room 307. She had not paid for services for 3 months in a row, and if this continued, she was going to have her power cut off. The landlady reminded her that 307 still hadn't paid rent. She assured her not to think she could hide if she was silent. Su Wan, walking up the stairs, saw how the landlady was sure that 307 would go bald if she continued streaming so much. He didn't understand why Lao Na's daughter lived in a place like this, stream it, despite not being able to afford water and electricity. Knocking on the door, a girl in a robe with pink hair opened it for him. Seeing that he was fascinated by her, she asked if he was there to rent a room. She realized that the landlady was going to cut off her water and electricity and she needed to get some money. Deciding she won't let him go, she asks him to come inside. She started showing him the apartment, telling him that there were 2 rooms, 1 living room, assuring him that he could take the master bedroom. There was also a restroom. The price was 800 per month, not including water and electricity. As soon as Su Wan said that his things were still outside, she immediately went to fetch them. Seeing that she was having a hard time carrying the suitcase, he decided to offer help, but she dropped it and kicked it to the owner. Lao Na's daughter thanked him for coming and warned him to remember to lie down early, and he could pay the rent tomorrow. Su Wan didn't even have time to speak before the door slammed shut in front of him. Considering it unimportant, he remembered Lao Na and asked him not to worry, for he intended to find the traitor and protect his daughter. Night came. Su Wan was already asleep, but at this moment, there was a sound near the window. He woke up from it. A foot appeared out of the darkness. It was a certain soldier. He became convinced that it was a snow wolf, for few people are able to detect its presence. However, in his opinion, it was already too late. Su Wan recognized him. It was Dao Ba Jie Sen. Dao Ba Jie Sen did not expect that even after retiring, his legendary personality would be known. Su Wan realized that he had been found, even though he had only recently arrived there. He asked to be told about the traitor, who it was. Chuckling evilly, He convinced Su Wan that he was no match for the person who sent him there. At first, he thought that killing a retired veteran was too easy for him. However, killing the Snow Wolf himself is truly a great honor. At this moment, he was about to kill him. After Su Wan died, he was going to become number one in the Z country. After a couple of blows, the enemy was defeated. He didn't realize how he was done in 3 seconds. Su Wan decided to tell him a secret. He recognized him not because of his reputation, but because of his scar, which he thought looked funny. He decided to help him, because the scar does look strange. He cut his face open one more time. Su Wan wanted to know what his customer needed from him, but the guy was only upset because of his face. At this moment, Su Wan heard Yan Pan's voice. He decided to see if she was alright. Entering the room, he asked about her well-being. The answer was positive. He saw her taking her hat off to some guy and explaining that someone had entered her room, and fainted when he saw her. Su Wan explained that he heard a noise, so he came to check on her. But she said she was fine and asked me to help her get him out of there, because she was trying to stream. Agreeing, he picked up the guy and dragged, passing by her. He got on the webcam. Chat noticed this and started asking what the hottie was and asked him to stay. On the other side of the screen sat a certain man who had finally found the Snow Wolf. He realized that he had met Naolon Jie's daughter. The man pledged to first destroy his pride like a snow wolf, and then deal with the squad itself, left without its leader. Next, from General Manager by Fei Fei, she asked if they still haven't found the thief who stole her wallet. The assistant assured the director that they had already reported the matter and that everything would be resolved within 2 days. She didn't understand how the shameless thief dared to steal her things. She thought if she saw him again, she'd kill him for sure. The next day at the main office of the Baisha Corporation, Su Wan did not understand what this mission and the mission itself was. He did not understand what to do, whether to kill someone, kidnap someone, or prevail. Su Wan's call rang out. Answering it, the other side of the phone immediately introduced themselves. It was Uncle Lee. He asked if there were any problems with the mission, but Su Wan replied that there were none yet. After all, he hadn't even started it yet. Hearing this, he advised him to hurry up in parallel, taking the folder from the girl that brought it to him. He warned Su Wan that Bai Fei Fei was very important and they should protect her. There was a condition that if in 3 months Su Wan could marry her, he could redeem himself and return to the Snow Wolf squad. Su Wan hoped that he had heard that and decided to ask again. The commander explained that Bai Fei Fei knew some top-secret information, so they must protect her at all costs. He assured him that there was no need to worry. After all, he had discussed it with her father. And her father was insanely happy and all hands and feet in favor of this wedding. Su Wan was furious because this was a very important point and should have asked him first. He was confused because he didn't know what she looked like, and if she wasn't pretty, he thought he would be completely devastated. But he was reassured that he had met her before. Recalling the situation with the robber at the airport, the commander said that he had arranged it on purpose so that Su Wan would help the woman right in front of her. In his opinion, this heroic act will delight her and he will win her heart. Hearing this, Su Wan was furious, because if they had warned him about this beforehand, he would not have ignored this robbery then and stolen Bai Fei Fei's wallet and ID card. Su Wan thought that Uncle Lee should send another guy in his place. Now Bai Fei Fei probably hated him, and perhaps even wanted him. Uncle Lee was already furious and told him to shut up. If he wanted to return to the squad, he must complete the mission. Su Wan also said that 2 mercenaries had come for him yesterday. He suspected that they were sent by Ban Ban Tan's top assassination group. He asked to find out how they were able to find him so quickly. In his opinion, it had to do with that traitor. After writing down the name, Uncle Lee agreed that he would look into it. The mission wasn't exactly official, so in case it was, he asked him to try to keep his comrades out of it. The conversation ended on the fact that Uncle had to go and wishing him good luck. He ended the call. Next, in Bai Fei Fei's office, there was a conversation between the daughter and the father. She said that the father may not continue, for she would not marry this stranger Su Wang. Father, Bai Sanghai, asked her to listen. According to him, he was not just some ordinary man, but a veteran who served in the Snow Wolf unit. Getting up from her desk, she asked her father to stay in her office while she had some things to do. Bai Sanghai asked her not to leave because Su Wang was going to be there soon, but the door still slammed shut. Her father said it was for her own good, even though she herself is extraordinary, but Su Wang is even more extraordinary, and in his opinion, it's not him who falls short of her, but her. Su Wang walked down the street and learned information about Bai Fei. She is the head of Baisha Corporation. In 3 years, she turned the company from insolvent to the best of its kind. The profit shocked everyone. Bai Fei was recognized as the strongest woman in Nandao City, able to literally perform a miracle. He felt that if he married such a woman, her pressure would just kill him. But in his opinion she was very beautiful. He thought if she became his wife it wouldn't be so bad. After entering the Baisha Corporation building, Su Wang walked up to the reception desk and asked for help, that he needed to find Bai Fei. The girl at the front desk kindly asked if there was an appointment, but Su Wang sharply replied that he didn't need an appointment. After all, he was her future husband. I mean, she told me not to joke like that because Ms. has no one and everyone knows it. At this moment, the elevator opened and Bai Fei was there. She noticed something amiss. Su Wang, on the other hand, convinced the girl at the front desk that this was no joke and they were really very close. Bai Fei noticed that he had her ID card and didn't understand why he had it. She decided to ask him who he named as his future wife. Turning around he saw her and was surprised. Pointing her finger at him, she said that he had stolen her wallet and was now spreading brazen rumors. She ordered him to be seized and taken to the police, whereupon the crowd swarmed. Surrounding him, Su Wang didn't realize if they really thought they could capture him. At this moment, there was a loud request for Fei to stop. It was her father. He was the one who introduced Su Wang to her, that it was her future husband he was talking about. Everyone was surprised by this statement. The assistant did not understand whether she had heard it, if it was really so, why she had chosen such an average man as her life partner. The assistant did not understand. Everyone was horrified, how such a brat could be her husband. The father introduced himself and apologized for the incident. According to him, Bai Fei can be abrupt at times and asked him to take care of her. He assured me that she was a good person and after the wedding he would realize it. Su Wang thought that he was smart, otherwise he might end up just like those guys who attacked him. In that case, he would have to settle in the hospital for at least half a year, Su Wang thought. Interrupting this, Bai Fei asked for it to stop. After all, Su Wang was a thief who not only ignored a person in trouble, but also stole her wallet. That's why she thought they weren't right for each other, refusing to get married. Her father assured her that she was free to do whatever she wanted next, but she should listen to him now. She may be the CEO, but he owned the company. Therefore, his father wanted to join Su Wang to help the company. After agreeing to this, she provided a condition: if he wants to work for the company, she will allow it. That is why he is hired as a low-level security guard. His monthly salary will be $1,200. If he doesn't like something, he can leave. Without realizing whether Su Wang agreed or not, she pointed at the door. Through his anger, he went to the guard room. Su Wang was unhappy that he was the leader of the military force's best squad, the Snow Wolf, and now a mere guard. After coming to terms with it, he decided that the world's best guard was born at that moment. Suddenly the phone rang. Picking up the receiver, immediately issued requests to come to Bai Fei immediately. Walking into the office, he asked what was wrong and sat down in the chair. He thought he even knew what his wife was thinking. He thought she missed him and decided to ask about it. Looking at him, Bai Fei didn't understand why her father wanted her to marry such a man. She thought he was cowardly, shameless, unreliable, and also ignores robberies. To her he looked dreadful, both sitting and standing. As she spoke to him, she explained to let him know that she had given up her doctorate in the land of Yu and had not come back here to marry a scoundrel like him. She hoped he would change his impression for the better, but he sneered, thinking the impression was already great. Sitting in the chair, Su Wang was smoking, and Bai Fei didn't understand how he could exist in this world. She decided she needed to talk to him and told him so. Putting out his cigarette, he decided she finally agreed to sleep with him. Annoyed but ignoring it, she questioned his dirty thoughts on her mind. Su Wang explained that most men love it, and in truth, they are all like that. Su Wang assured that he is just more honest about his desires and doesn't relate to those who hide it. Bai Fei spoke about her father's decree to take Su Wang with her to the meeting. She was against it, but she realized that her father would not back down, and so they were there to discuss the situation. She decided she was taking him to the meeting, but only as a security guard, and asked him not to cause trouble. Next night, they were heading out for a meeting. Su Wang was relaxed, and so Bai Fei thought that he had let all her words pass by his ears. Su Wang pondered over his superior's words, namely to protect her, and even went so far as to force him to marry her. He thought that they were trying to tie them together, but he didn't realize who would want to hurt her. Bai Fei decided to remind him of his role that night, that he was her partner and security guard, but like she said, she didn't want others to know that her partner was a disgusting person devoid of taste. She said that he was disgusting, but he personally didn't think so. Besides, she had no taste. Su Wang said, he thought that his taste was beyond the comprehension of mere mortals like her. Bai Fei thought that he was not only unreliable, deceitful, cowardly, but also an arrogant person. As they approached the Nandao place, Tianluan Club, the car stopped and Su Wanyu and Bai Fei opened the doors. She hoped that he wouldn't give her much trouble. They were met by Ling Xiao and his guard and were concerned that they were getting on their own. After all, she could have just alerted him and they would have been taken away. To which Fei replied that they weren't close enough for him to take her. Seeing Su Wan, he decided to ask who it was. The answer followed immediately. Bai Fei replied that he was her guard, and Su Wang replied that he was her husband. Ling Xiao was displeased with this statement. After all, the whole city knows that he loves her, but Su Wang dares to say that he is her husband. Since Fei had his own guard, he decided to introduce his own. His name was Luan Wu. His bodyguard was a mercenary and once killed 5 mercenaries single-handedly. 2 of them had all their bones broken. Taking off his glasses, he couldn't believe how Su Wang was taken as a guard, with his height. Bai Fei asked him not to get involved and suggested that he just leave. The guard called him a coward and told him to keep hiding behind the woman's back. Ling Xiao chuckled and asked him not to be rude to them. After all, Su Wang is still Fei's guard. He believed that even when beating a dog, one should know who the owner is. Inside himself, he didn't understand how Su Wang dared to be with Fei. He wanted to make sure that he disappeared right after tonight. Su Wang smiled, but in an instant, his eyes widened and the guard started to feel sick. The guard didn't understand what this murderous aura was. He fell to his knees and couldn't get up. Ling Xiao on the other hand didn't understand why he was kneeling in front of Su Wang. But the guard was sure this fool was so terrifying and he couldn't control his fear. The guard didn't understand who Su Wang was. After all, he couldn't do anything against him. Su Wang gloated, saying that he hadn't even raised his hands as he had already wet himself. He began to sneer at him, saying that he had bladder problems and he shouldn't take it too long. Su Wang called out to Fei to leave, because the stench was too strong, and he was tired of the sight of a kneeling man. Taking her hand, he told her to stop daydreaming and start moving. She didn't understand what had happened. Was this really a side of Su Wang that she hadn't seen before? Fei realized. Ling Xiao was furious because Long Wu screwed up right at the most important moment. Su Wang thought she would see, sooner or later bow to him and belong only to him, just like her Baisher Corporation. Once inside, she explained that it was Lin Xiao, the young boss of Linhai Corporation. According to her, he doesn't really care for other people, so she asked Su Wang to be more careful when left alone. Stopping, she didn't understand why he was looking at her like that. Su Wang was touched that his wife cared so much about him. He wanted to repay her kindness properly. From his words, since they were no longer strangers to each other, he wanted to hug her. Just reaching to hug her, she pushed him away. Next, in the dining hall, Su Wang and Bai Fei walked into the hall and all the guests were surprised. They admired Fei and resented what kind of person was beside her. Looking at his clothes, they concluded that he was just a guard. Fei warned Su Wang that the most influential people of Nandao City were there, and she had something important to discuss with them, so she asked him not to hang around and go eat something. But only when she turned her head, she saw that he was not beside her. Su Wang was already eating insatiably and she regretted telling him about it. She thought he was a strong man, disappointed in that. When he saw his favorite food, he wanted to try it right away. Just after trying it, he was called out by a certain girl. It was Nalan Yen Pan. She didn't understand why he was there. He was uncomfortable and she reprimanded him for sneaking in there for a free dinner. Su Wang started to reply that it wasn't really like that, but she calmed him down, deciding to go along with him, because everything was free, and they were pouring good wine. Sipping wine, Su Wang didn't think that Lao Na's daughter was so poor. Not only could she not pay the rent, but she also sneaked into meetings to eat free food. He felt that he needed to do something about it, otherwise how would he look into Lao Na's eyes? She turned her attention to Fei, explaining that she was the director of Baisha Corporation, the youngest person present to hold such a position. The one who created a miracle in this town. In fact, even this meeting was organized by her personally. At this moment, Su Wang thought Fei was really something. He thought she really fit the role of his woman. Lao Na's daughter said that her friend's nephew's brother's husband's sister's uncle's nephew's girlfriend works at Baisha Corporation. She is Bai Fei's personal secretary. Through her, you can learn more about the CEO. Su Wang, on the other hand, assured that there was no need for this. After all, they already knew each other. The girl was surprised by this. Su Wang confidently said that Bai Fei was his wife. Not believing him, she said that as his landlord, she supports his dreams. Some guy came over and confirmed Lao Na's daughter's words, saying that he was too dreamy, because every man present there wanted to be her husband, but only a few would be suitable for her. Lao Na's daughter informed him that she had to go to the restroom and asked him not to tell anyone about his wife. No one would believe her. The hall erupted with raptures from some beautiful jade. Su Wang was interested. He saw Lin Xiao bring a necklace from Myanmar especially for Fei. This necklace was priceless. This piece of jewelry was created by the best craftsman in the business. It is the only one in the whole world. Only Fei can match its beauty, he said. Assistant Director Lin thought that Director Lin and Director Bai were the perfect couple. Director Lin was too obsessed with her. He went so far just to give her a gift. Approaching Su Wang, the girl asked not to look like this. After all, they had already become a couple. Envying this was useless in her opinion. It was better to go get something to eat. Bai Fei couldn't accept this gift and said that she didn't deserve such a gift in any way, so she couldn't accept it. Ling Xiao asked her not to be so formal. He was willing to give it to her. It was the best jade necklace in the world. Su Wang was furious at how Lin Xiao dared to flirt with his wife in front of everyone. The girl didn't understand what he wanted to do and asked him to stop. Grabbing Fei's hand, Ling Xiao asked her not to embarrass herself. After all, everyone was watching. So he decided to help her. She realized that today was an important press conference for Baisha Corporation. Ling Xiao used this meeting to force her to accept the necklace. If she accepted his gift, then tomorrow, all the headlines would be filled with gossip about her and Ling Xiao. The Lin family is involved in illegal trade, so such gossip would damage her reputation and the development of her company. She didn't know what to do as she felt trapped. Abruptly grabbing and removing Ling Xiao's hand, Su Wang asked who allowed his wife to be touched. The people were surprised who he was and why. Su Wang said that Director Bai was his wife. In their opinion, he is just her guard, but dares to exceed his authority and insult Lin Xiao. Ling Xiao, deciding that Su Wang was arrogant, wanted to deal with him. Ling Xiao ordered the guards to throw him out of there, as in the blink of an eye, the guards surrounded him. But then Lao Na's daughter immediately appeared, citing that it was just a misunderstanding. She said that Su Wang was addressing her, not by Fei Fei, deciding that they should let them continue to have fun, and she and Su Wang would go. Su Wang didn't understand what she was doing. After all, he never said that she was his wife. Fei Fei also heard this. She thought he was a rascal and was disappointed. Also, she didn't understand how her father could choose such a person. But immediately he decided to explain himself to her, for it wasn't what she thought it was. Pointing his finger at Lao Na's daughter, he explained that her name was Nalan Yanzhan and she was not his wife, they just lived in the same house. Leaning on his shoulder, she pretended she didn't know what he was talking about and said that they should live together. He didn't need to be embarrassed. Pushing her away, he didn't understand what she was up to, but Nalan Yanzhan explained that Bai Fei Fei was not someone he could anger. The same goes for Lin Xiao. According to her, she was trying to save him. Bai Fei Fei was angry and asked her to stop making excuses and stop making a scene. Lin Xiao approached him with a statement that Su Wang was a fraud. After all, he already had a woman, so he asked him to stop harassing Fei Fei and get out of there. Ling Xiao asked Fei Fei to stop wasting her time on Su Wang, continuing to talk about the necklace. But Su Wang decided to interrupt him, saying that the jade necklace was fake. Everyone was shocked by this statement. But Ling Xiao didn't think that some simpleton like Su Wang had ever seen jade. He told him to look at his clothes and manners. The people there were also perplexed. In their opinion, why such a rich man would buy a fake. Lao Na's daughter was disappointed. There was no way she could save Su Wang now. Su Wang said that this was the second time people had said that he had no taste, but he was not angry. He thought that it was ridiculous for someone who had taste to tell others that they did not have it. Fei Fei heard that and realized that he still remembered it, and it looks like he took that insult seriously during the car ride. Ling Xiao was furious and stated that if it wasn't jade, then what? Tak also said to stop pretending. After all, Fei Fei already knows what kind of person Su Wang is. Su Wang stated that the necklace was not real jade, but a similar stone, jadeite. He explained that there is a difference between jadeite and jade. They are both crystals and are known as quartz, although jade looks prettier. Its hardness and density are much lower than jadeite, so the best way to test them is to piss them up. Lao Na's daughter was surprised that he knew a lot. Even if she didn't understand what he was talking about, it seemed to her that he knew his business. Lin Xiao told him to stop talking. According to him, Nandao City doesn't he even know how valuable it is. How could a peasant like Su Wang know about such jewels, and ordered the guards to throw him out. Fei Fei asked to wait, reasoning that if CEO Lin is calm, then let Su Wang continue. If Su Wang is wrong, then CEO Lin is clean. But if CEO Lin is afraid, then they can throw Su Wang out. She realized that Lin Xiao looked nervous. Could the necklace really be a fake? But it didn't matter. If Su Wang is here, Lin Xiao won't force the necklace on her. Ling Xiao was worried and didn't understand what kind of joke this was. In his opinion, he wasn't scared. He was surprised that Su Wang was only a bodyguard, but how did he have such specialized knowledge? He concluded that Su Wang was jealous, so he made a scene. Su Wang said that they would know the truth when the inspection was over and asked for a beaker. Pouring some water into it, he could weigh the necklace. As soon as the beaker of water was brought, Su Wang took out one stone from his necklace and threw it into the water. Lin Xiao told him to be careful. After all, if the necklace got scratched, a peasant like Su Wang wouldn't be able to repair it. Su Wang stated look that he measured the weight of the necklace. It was quite simple. You subtract the initial mass from the current mass. As he knew, Jadeite has a density of 3.30 to 3.36 while jade has a density of 2.48 to 2.65. He explained that everyone who went to school knows that you can find out the mass of an object by determining its density. Thus, according to current measurements, if this jade is genuine, its mass should be between 119 and 123 grams. If the necklace is made of smaller jade, the weight should be around 90 grams. This was an easy way to know if it was authentic or not. Fei Fei said that Su Wang knows such a method of checking the weight of jade. In her opinion, he is sure that the necklace is fake. Ling Xiao was furious. Ling Hai had financial problems. He had long looked for someone to make a fake necklace so that the fake would not be conspicuous, but Su Wang did not even touch the necklace and found out that it was fake. Here comes the result, 91 grams. The people in the audience could not believe how this was possible. They thought Su Wang was a genius. After all, he had recognized the fake just by looking at it. Lao Na's daughter was surprised and praised him, saying that he was really smart. Nervous, Ling Xiao pretended that he didn't know it was a fake and he too had been cheated. He pledged to find the cheater and give her the real jade necklace, but only asked to give him some time. As he left, he was dissatisfied that Su Wang had ruined everything and promised him to remember it. Stepping out of the building, Lao Na's daughter asked Su Wang what was going on and how he knew Fei Fei. He averred that he had some business to take care of, for it was a long story and he would tell it, but a little later. After getting into the car, Fei Fei asked him why he left his wife and wants to go with her. Su Wang explained that his wife wasn't actually her, but Fei Fei. Infuriated, she asked me not to call her that in public anymore. He has graciously agreed to honor his wife's request and will call her that, only in private. Fei Fei was about to express everything about him in front of her father once they returned. At this moment, the danger warning signal sounded. This was from the Trackless Snowman. The Trackless Snowman is the best assassin group in the whole world. It is very mysterious but has a 100% success rate in all its missions. Those targeted by the group are dead, but even though the Trackless Snowman is called a group, it's actually run by 2 people. Su Wang was once part of the group, but he left to join the Snow Wolf squad, so there was only one left, Jing Xiaoku. The message stated that, at 8:10 p.m. someone will come for by Fei Fei, get ready. There were only 3 minutes left. Jing Xiaoku's information is never false. There was no time left and Su Wang needed to be on guard. Grabbing Fei Fei's hand, Su Wang asked the driver to stop the car now. She didn't understand what he was doing, but he explained that they were now in a very dangerous situation and asked her to tell the driver to stop. He would explain everything later. After hitting him, she thought he was crazy and told him to let her go, otherwise she would call the police. Next, the truck started to undercut the car and Su Wang said they didn't have time. Fei Fei didn't understand how he dared to yell at her and told him to get out now. But Su Wang grabbed her in an attempt to protect her. He realized that it was necessary to protect her. Then the truck knocked the car off the road and it overturned. The car was starting to burn and the driver was already dead. Fei Fei inquired about Su Wang's well-being, after which the street ordered Fei Fei to just come out and surrender. As soon as they climbed out, they saw in front of them a crowd of people who were serious. Their leader said that they were lucky to have survived such an attack. Turning to Su Wang, he explained that his life belonged to him and ordered him to give them the woman and he was free. Fei Fei asked Su Wang not to leave, but he didn't even have such a thought. On the contrary, he ordered them to put down the knife, kneel down and call him daddy, then cut off his own hand. After that he will think to keep them alive. The ringleader was furious. How dare Su Wang speak to him in such a tone? After that, he ordered his men to kill Fei Fei first, and further massacre the boy. Su Wang told Fei Fei to stay where she was standing and not to move. After all, she was their target. After thinking about it, she decided that she would not let them touch Su Wang, and tugging on his sleeve, she asked him not to be impertinent. In her opinion there are too many of them, it is too dangerous to fight. and she can negotiate with them and give them money. It can buy time before the police arrive. Su Wang appreciated her concern for him, but since they were looking down on him, he decided to teach them a lesson and set about doing so. Fei Fei was startled as already the entire squad had already been defeated. In Su Wang's opinion, he had warmed up too much and seemed to have overdone it. None of them were conscious and he didn't understand how he would find out the information. Next, Su Wang called Jing Xiaoku and asked what was going on, why the target was Fei Fei and how he knew Su Wang was with her. Jing Xiaoku asked him not to rush him and graciously agreed to answer all of his questions. He explained that first of all, there was a bounty on by Fei Fei's head, but it wasn't that high, about $50,000. He was looking through the hunting awards since he had nothing to do. That's when he noticed she was on the list. The investigation about the motives behind this hunt should be completed in a few days, and as for the last question, Su Wang can guess himself how he knows that Su Wang was with her. There was no need for that. Uncle or some guys from the Snow Wolf squad must have told Su Wang, thought Jing Xiaoku. Su Wang began to stop the conversation, saying that he had some other things to take care of. Fei Fei realized that Su Wang was mysterious and hiding his strength. Isn't that why her father wanted her to marry him, she speculated. But no matter how strong he was, it was useless. She believed that you can't beat someone up to solve problems in today's society. Everything is decided by the one who is smarter. Even a martial arts master can be defeated by a few bullets, which is all her father was thinking about. Jing Xiaoku asked not to hang up. There was something else. He asked to be Su Wang to be careful of Ban Ban Tang's group of assassins. They had recently sent many assassins to Nandao City. Su Wang realized that today's assassins were clearly amateurs. If Bai Fei Fei had a good bodyguard, these assassins wouldn't stand a chance. But what if they tried to kill her more than once, thought Su Wang. In his opinion, they would most likely check out her surroundings, then find a weak spot and proceed to kill her later. Su Wang thought they were good guys and it would not be easy. Uncle Li had once said that Bai Fei Fei was connected to some secret. Su Wang reflected. From now on, this was a grand operation. Su Wang should be more careful. Next, in the building across the street, a certain guy made sure that Bai Fei Fei was hard to kill and luckily he found some idiots to scout first. He realized that the people around her were pretty good and he needed to kill Su Wang first. After that, Su Wang and Fei Fei were already traveling in another car. Su Wang was in thought, for before he hung up, Jing Xiaoku said that Ban Ban Tan's top assassin group had sent many assassins there. He didn't understand what they wanted to do. Whether it was related to Bai Fei Fei or Nalan Yen Pan, it was getting more and more complicated, Su Wang realized. Unexpectedly, Fei Fei thanked Su Wang for today. Su Wang graciously accepted the thanks and replied that they were family and there was no need to thank him. He noticed that the road they are traveling on is not backwards. Fei Fei on the other hand explained that her father was just informed about what happened, because he is worried. They are going to the mansion. After reaching the mansion, they got out and walked towards the entrance of the mansion. After passing the fence, Fei Fei noticed that Su Wang was nervous and decided to find out what was wrong. After all, he was really tough when he was beating up those guys, so why is he nervous now? Su Wang in turn replied ironically that tonight would be their first night together and he felt very awkward. Fei Fei didn't appreciate the joke and slapped him, saying no one would want to sleep with him. Then being inside the Bai Fei Fei family mansion, the father made sure that with Su Wang, his daughter was in good hands. He was glad that Su Wang was there with her. Interrupting this, Fei Fei stood up with the words that it was getting late and if nothing else, asked him to send Su Wang home. My father didn't understand how she could talk like that, and moreover the two of them are a family, how could she kick her husband out? But Fei Fei assured that she didn't even really know Su Wang and they didn't have any relationship, and now he was her husband. But my father didn't understand who said that, because he had already drawn up the papers. From now on, the two of them would be together. Interrupting him, the angry Fei Fei couldn't believe that her father had done this without asking her. But he asked her not to be nervous and pay attention to Su Wan. How calm and collected he was. Father felt that this kind of thing was urgent, and since they were both busy, he did it for them. Fei Fei was horrified at what was happening. Now she was married to this man. But his father informed Su Wang that since they were both married, from now on this would be their home and there was no need to be embarrassed. Su Wang decided then that he would stay here for today and go to see Fei Fei. Hitting the table, Fei Fei stated that she did not agree that Su Wang should stay there. Her father, on the other hand, thought she was acting like a child, explaining that Su Wang was her husband and they should be together. He noticed that Su Wang was injured and pointed to the wound. Father defended him, saying that Su Wang was injured while protecting her, so she should take care of him. Going up the stairs, Fei Fei declared that if her father wanted Su Wang to live there, then he would sleep with him. After all, she didn't want to see him. Su Wang and Fei Fei's father remained at the table. Su Wang kindly asked if he could go home today, to which he was refused. Father explained that he was still the master of this house, and he had decided that Su Wang would sleep in their mansion tonight. Su Wang pretended to be uncomfortable, referring to Fei Fei's words. But the father was adamant that Fei Fei was his wife and he should take care of his wife and make her stop being impertinent. On top of that he asked not to be called uncle, because he was now married. Leaving, Fei Fei's father reminded that Su Wang should not let a woman do whatever she wants, otherwise if his wife disobeyed, then he might become rude. Tonight he was going to see if Su Wang could win her over. Turning to Su Wang, he declared his support and asked him to pretend as if he hadn't heard anything in the evening. Su Wang thought this father was very special, for he insists on punishing Fei Fei if she doesn't obey him. He expected that if Bai Canghai gave his permission, he could go to bed with Bai Fei Fei without any problems. Su Wang poked her and saw her about to enter her room. Bai Fei Fei was pensive, for her father was becoming more and more indifferent to her. She didn't understand if she meant nothing to him. Without a sound, Su Wang snuck up on her, but she noticed it and asked what he was there for. The answer was immediate: to sleep. Surprised that he was going to sleep in her room, she immediately rejected the offer. Su Wang began to explain that they were now officially married and should sleep together. Moreover, according to him, her father himself said that naughty women should be punished. He didn't wait long walking inside. Fei Fei was furious and asked him to stop, at this very second. In the end, she asked him to wait outside. After all, she hadn't cleaned up her room. Su Wang was intrigued and didn't understand why he should wait outside. After all, she is his wife and he can see her things. She was very angry with him, but abruptly remembered that her underwear was still on the balcony. Fei Fei thought that he shouldn't see them and started running towards the balcony. She didn't understand what Su Wang was interested in, but as she turned her head, she heard a question: is she really wearing such a thing, showing her underwear? This was new to Su Wang. This was something he hadn't seen before. Taking her underwear from him, she was embarrassed that he saw it. Su Wang was very tired and decided to go to bed. He lay down on the bed with thoughts of how a cold and high-class woman like her enjoys wearing such underwear. Fei Fei couldn't let him sleep in her room and felt she had to kick him out, but Su Wang had already fallen asleep. Fei Fei wondered if it wouldn't be better if she just let him sleep here. Otherwise, if she wakes him up, he'll start asking her about her underwear again. So lying down on the bed, she realized it was just for one night and tomorrow she could kick him out. At this moment, Su Wang threw his leg over her. She was furious, because if one more time he moved, she would beat the crap out of him. Su Wang was awake and saw that there was no reaction. He noticed that she was nervous and decided to put his hand. After all, even if she didn't like it, she wouldn't beat him up for it. When he put his hand down, he didn't realize where he had put it, because it was something soft and elastic, and when he opened his eyes he saw that it wasn't his hand. Without waiting long for a reaction, Su Wang was already on the floor and did not understand why. does he not have the right to make a mistake? Su Wang asked. After all, he did not want to die. But Fei Fei, with tears in her eyes and fury, called him a bastard. The next day in the guard room, Su Wang questioned Lu Guizhi about what happened to his eye. Su Wang explained that last night when he slept with Bai Fei Fei, she pushed him off the bed. He didn't understand how to establish contact with her. The staff didn't believe it, and suggested that he sleep with more Miss Universe, to which Su Wang replied with a smirk. They were surprised how he wasn't afraid to joke about it since he might get fired. Someone even stated that since Su Wang was just a rookie, he didn't even have the right to look at her. If his superiors found out about his antics, they would punish him severely. They warned him to stop making up stories with the CEO. Su Wang was upset because no one believed him when he told the truth. Suddenly, Su Wang was asked to be quiet, for the boss had come in. In the blink of an eye, they lined up in a line, after which the service chief Li Dechui walked in. The service chief didn't understand why the guys were idling while on duty. All the guys had clean uniforms, but only Su Wang had dirty casual clothes. The boss heard everything they were talking about, so he explained to them that they were Baishe Group, ranked in the top 500 best companies in this world. They are the largest company in Nandao City, so they will not tolerate lazy workers, especially young ones who can only talk. He hoped that some of them would think about it and start behaving properly. They need to realize the fact that they are a guard. If they don't want to, they can safely leave. Also pointing out Su Wang that he was there for only a few days, but the boss gives him the first mission. The staff lost a lot of their belongings there. It was necessary to help find the disappearance. To fulfill was given 2 days. If not in time, he will cut his salary by 80%, also asked to wear a uniform. Walking down the hall with a staff member, he explained to Su Wang that he shouldn't have said all that. The boss didn't like his behavior and purposely gives him assignments and cuts his pay. Su Wang persuaded him not to worry. After all he had to do was to find the lost things. It was no big deal to him, after which, he gave him a cigarette to smoke. But the employee explained that company policy says they can't smoke anywhere during work hours. Su Wang did not understand why he was so afraid. After all, there was no one around, but he stood his ground and took the cigarette from Su Wang. If Li Dechui saw Su Wang smoking, he would wipe him into powder, the staff member assured. Su Wang accepted that he was a very honest guy and it was commendable, promising that he wouldn't smoke and went to fulfill the mission assigned to him. The employee explained that Li Dechui had given Su Wang this assignment just to kick him out of the company. Su Wang was curious as to why this was so. They tell him it's been going on for 6 months, somebody's been stealing their female co-workers' stuff. The police came dozens of times but could do nothing. According to the employee, Li Dechui gives him a task that is simply impossible. Su Wang was interested in a case that had not been solved for half a year in items that only steal from women. He had nothing against Li Dechui and therefore did not understand why he would hate Su Wang. The employee assured him not to worry so much, for he would praise him in front of him, in his opinion, so he would stop feeling negative towards Su Wang. As a guard in this group, he explained that their duties were very simple. Just need to patrol a few times and they will get paid. Su Wang suspected something and asked him to shut up. Outside the door, requests to stop and Xiao Shue's name were issued that someone missed her. Manager Liang was asked to stop harassing her, but she was convinced that she knew she needed the money to cure her brother's illness and just had to trust her. She would get a bonus, but first she had to do something. Shui was asked to think about his brother, as he needs financial help right now. She was offered a promotion but declined and asked to be let go. At this moment, with a kick of his foot, the door swung open and Su Wang and his colleague walked in. He ordered her to be released immediately. Manager Shui saw someone enter and ran to their backs. The man started asking if they knew who he was and how dare they bother him for nothing. Su Wang defiantly replied that he knew who he was, a terrible person. A colleague started to stop him, after all it was the human resources manager of Baishe Group. He is more in charge than Li Dechui and asked him to be more careful as they can't cross someone like him. Su Wang confidently replied that it must be some influential position, but no more influential than his wife's. After all, Baishe belongs to his wife. The manager was furious because this is the first time he's seen someone more reckless than him in this company. A colleague tried to stop it, explaining that they couldn't cross such an important person. This person's name is Liang Jianchen. His father is a shareholder of this company, and he has his own shares here. But Su Wang didn't care whether he was a shareholder or not. He couldn't believe that someone would think that he would bow down to such trash. Getting even more angry, Liang Jianchen declared that if Su Wang's father came over, he would definitely ask him how he was able to raise an animal like him. He really didn't like the way he was being spoken to. Deciding that Su Wang should pay for it, he flew at him with his fists. Su Wang immediately blocked his punch, dispelling his confidence that he was strong. He couldn't move and begged to be released. Stretching the brush of his hand, Su Wang longed for him to admit that he was a piece of shit, and that his father had raised a bad man like him. But Liang Jian was furious and told him to move away from him, otherwise he would tell his superior Li Dechui everything that happened and force him to fire Su Wang. At this moment, Fei Fei walked in, not understanding who Liang Jian wanted to fire again. She thought that as a personnel manager, he was taking too much on himself. Upon seeing her, the staff started to say hello and Su Wang too, almost calling her his wife. She didn't want everyone to know about it, so he decided to play along. Su Wang said that Liang Jian was harassing women in broad daylight. In his opinion, he was obliged to apologize, otherwise he would make him clean the toilets. Liang Jian started to make excuses, but without even finishing hearing Fei Fei ordered Su Wang to let him go. Barely standing up, he promised to get back at him. It was only necessary to wait. Fei Fei felt they both did a good job today and she would increase their paychecks by $500 as a thank you. The co-worker was very happy and thanked Fei Fei. She also thought that Jiao Shui had performed well and said that she would be transferred to her office and become her secretary there. Ending at that, Fei Fei leaving ordered them not to spread around and ruin the company's image, otherwise they would all be fired. Grabbing her hand, Su Wang didn't understand why she let Liang Jianchen go. After all, he had insulted someone's daughter. Fei Fei begged to let her go, but he wasn't going to let go until she answered him. She decided to explain that his father is a big auctioneer of the company and even she can't control everything. She couldn't do anything to him even if she wanted to. Su Wang didn't understand whether it was a joke or not. After all, he was too old, and how old his father was he couldn't even imagine. She explained that he was actually 30 years old, but due to alcohol and obscenity, his condition had deteriorated badly. Tossing his hand away, she started to walk away and told him not to look like a pervert. After which, Manager Shui began to thank Su Wang for his help, because if he wasn't there, she wouldn't know what to do. Su Wang replied that it was fine and he was just doing his duty. Manager Shui was uncomfortable that she was being so formal with her and said that it was unnecessary. Next time, she was going to treat him to something. Su Wang agreed, remarking that he would gladly go to dinner with such a beautiful girl. The manager got embarrassed and left for the elevator, promising to call. Next, the colleague decided to ask again, didn't Su Wang say that CEO Bai was his wife and why she was so cold towards him? Su Wang thought that his colleague really didn't understand anything. After all, this was her company and Su Wang didn't want to embarrass her in front of the employees. After that, he was going to get home, be comfortable around her. The colleague did not expect that his joke would actually come true, but still he really advised him to stop there, otherwise he might be exposed and someone might use against Su Wang. Next, at sunset, Su Wang came to the building. Opening the door to the room, he didn't understand why the lights were off or if anyone was there. Su Wang asked if Yan Pan was home, but there was silence in response. He didn't realize where she was, because she should be streaming right now, At that moment some sounds came from outside the door. Su Wang heard this and started knocking on the door asking if anyone was there. Kicking the door he saw a girl on the bed with a spilled glass of water. Walking over to her he felt her body was too hot and that was bad. An hour later, while already in the hospital, Su Wang noticed that she was awake. She didn't realize where she was. Su Wang explained that they were in the hospital and wanted to know what was wrong, as she had a very high fever. The girl explained that she took a bath with cold water and then the fever came. She thought it would be okay if she just drank some hot water, but it got worse. Su Wang didn't understand why she would take a shower with cold water on such a cold day and why she didn't take cold medicine. She really wasn't taking care of herself properly. If she hurt herself or something happened to her, he was going to tell her father. But remembered that her father had asked her to take care of her and not let her die. Su Wang thought that if she asked, he would just tell her that he was on a secret mission. He then continued to dialogue with her, talking about what he would tell her fans if something happened to her. She said that because she didn't pay her bills, the electricity was cut off. She could use a heater so she could only take a bath with cold water. And she didn't buy the medication, simply because she wanted to save money. Su Wang heard that streamers earn tens of thousands of dollars a month, but she streams every night. She is very popular, why would she save up money? She confirmed that she does have a lot of fans, but before she could get any money from her streams, the streaming platform went bankrupt, so she can't even find a job now. Su Wang realized that she was having a very hard time now. Remembering that she had snuck into the party just to eat, he thought she was living a great life, but now she couldn't even survive. As he left, he assured her not to worry. From now on, as long as he was alive, he would take care of Yen Pan. The next day, Yen Pan felt fine after recovering. Su Wang looked at his wallet with a sad sigh because he had spent all of his savings in just one visit to the hospital. Yen Pan thought it was boring to stay in the hospital and suggested something to eat. She wanted fried meat, sashimi. Su Wang proposed a reciprocal idea, eating bread together. She was puzzled as at the same moment Su Wang received a call. Picking up the phone rang out the introduction that it was Jing Xiao and he had come to the city. Su Wang was surprised by this. After all, it was too fast, so he asked about his investigation. Jing Xiao called him to the hotel, where he would tell him everything. They had not seen each other for a long time, and he offered him a drink. He was just saying he has a collection of the Danish emperor. This bottle of wine is 150 years old. After finishing the conversation, Su Wang told the girl to leave first, as he had some things to do. She started to get cranky because he promised her to go eat bread together. She didn't understand how he could leave without her. And at the end of it, he suggested she go with him. He'd buy her dinner. She thanked Su Wang for choosing such a beautiful place for their first date. Hearing this, Su Wang was unpleasantly surprised. She assured him that she was ready to repay him with her body, and even when he became poor, she would not leave him. Su Wang explained that you can't say that, because she knows he has a wife. This answer disappointed Yen Pan a bit, to which she replied that he was just Bai Shi Group's security guard, and told him to stop pretending that he was Bai Fei's husband. As they approached their destination, they looked around and Yen Pan found a table with different dishes. Seeing that the guy had visitors, he turned to Su Wang saying that he should protect this woman. But he didn't have time to say it before they pounced on the food. After saying hello to Su Wang, he thought it was too much since they didn't even say hello. But Su Wang explained that he hadn't eaten for 2 days and that they would talk after he was done. Yen Pan wanted something to drink and asked for a drink. The guy they came to see was furious, whether it was a joke or not. After all, he is Jing Zhao's famous assassin, not a servant. Half an hour later, Su Wang and Yen Pan had had enough, while the guy was crying because he wasn't taken seriously. Su Wang called Jing Xiao over to him and asked if the food was cheap, but the latter denied, saying that it was nothing, only $10,000. Su Wang was puzzled where he was working. That dinner alone cost $10,000. Jing Xiao asked him to calm down, because if he hadn't shown him that job, he would still be in the mines in Africa. Jing Xiao assured that it was only dinner, it was nothing, honestly confessing, he had rented the entire hotel except for one floor. Yan Pan guessed why no one was in the hotel today. After all, he had rented the entire hotel. This was amazing, she thought. But Jing Xiao asked to stop talking about money as if Su Wang was poor. He realized it himself, after all, he can't even buy things for his wife. Jing Xiao suggested that since they were all together, they should go for a walk. Stepping into the elevator, he explained that the money he earned while he was a killer was all frozen. Su Wang decided to make sure and queried about the number of rented floors and decided to find out what was special about the last one. Jing Xiao admitted that he wanted to rent the whole hotel, but they wanted one floor to stay. They said some important person was here to discuss business. As soon as the elevator door opened, they saw some employees. He didn't understand why they were here. The officers ordered them to stop and said they could not be there and should leave immediately. The guard slapped one of his wards and explained how dare he talk like that. After all, you don't even have a clue who Su Wang is. The guard assured that Su Wang would soon recognize him and that these guys weren't bad, asking him to forgive them. Su Wang remembered the guard and assumed it was Long Wu, Lin Zhao's bodyguard. He was so scared that night that he wet himself. The bodyguard ordered his underlings to treat Su Wang with respect from now on. Su Wang wondered what he was doing here and why he was guarding the door. The bodyguard explained that their boss Lin Xiao was discussing some business inside. Su Wang was surprised that Lin Xiao was sending him to guard the door again. Lin Xiao must be discussing some illegal business again. Su Wang and his friends heard the cries for help and decided to help, but the bodyguard politely said they couldn't go in there. Accepting this courtesy, Su Wang gave them one chance to get out of the way. The guards moved out of the way. One of the wards asked what they were all going in there and how they would explain it later. Furthermore, they can't let people go inside. But the bodyguard nervously replied that they could no longer think about it now, their lives were more important. Next, in one of the hotel offices, Manager Liang was called to the office, but she didn't understand why she was called. She explained that CEO Bai was waiting for her. The man harassing her began to bully her, saying that Xiao Shui thought if she was supported by Bai Fei, she was invincible. Xiao Shui was scared and didn't know what was wanted from her, indicating if he continued, she would scream. But he explained that even if she screamed, no one would come up there, because some psycho rented the rest of the floors of that hotel. There weren't any people there, so if she wants to scream, let her scream, Jian Chen said. The guy next to him notified that they didn't have much time. Brother Bin had put in a lot of effort, so they decided to do it now. There was an order from near the door to let this girl go. Xiao Shui saw that it was Su Wang and asked him for help. Jian Chen was furious that Su Wang had appeared there again, but was eager to deal with him. Jing Xiao asked him to deal with him. Jian Chen didn't realize who it was and decided to ask, further asking another question about the death wish. Jing Xiao introduced himself as the psycho who had taken down all 19 floors they were talking about. Some guy got up from the couch and told him not to be nervous as it was just a misunderstanding. He admitted that they were a bit rude, but since they were here, they could be friends. The guy realized that Jing Xiao had rented the entire hotel, so he must have connections. Jing Xiao felt that he should find out about him first before making a move. The guy introduced himself that his name was Wen Bing and he had a small rehearsal in Nandao City. Yan Pan told Su Wang that she knows him. He is a major figure in the underworld. He is a cunning and cruel man. Those who crossed his path disappeared, and their bodies appeared in the underground sewers. Jian Chen started to press Jin Xiao thinking that he chickened out or he didn't like being called a psycho. A crushing blow followed and Jian Chen was killed. Su Wang noticed that Jing Xiao was restraining himself as if no one was here. He also didn't understand what Liang Jianchen was even thinking. Even if he had 10 lives, he wouldn't be able to handle him, Su Wang thought to himself. When Bing turned to Brother Suo, condemning his act of beating people just for saying something he didn't like. Su Wang replied that it was too much, and how he thought he would keep silent if Su Wang insulted him. Su Wang summoned Jiao Shui and asked what happened. She told that CEO Bai and she was there to discuss important matters, but she didn't expect to meet Liang Jianchen. After she left CEO Bai, they brought her here by force. Su Wang was interested in the presence of General Manager Bai Fei, to which Jiao Shui said that she was in a meeting on the 17th floor, but it was a secret meeting. The 17th floor was the one that Jing Shao couldn't get off. The manager told him that someone important had come to visit, and that someone was Su Wang's boss. Su Wang was wary and asked Jing Shao if he had said that he had found something in his investigation. He couldn't ask then, but now he had to say what he had found and right now. But Jing Shao reassured Su Wang, saying that he would tell him after they were done,